Welcome back to the Money Mastery Unleashed podcast. This is your host, Adam Olson, with you today. On today's episode, I'm going to give you the hints and tools and tricks to help you avoid 9 common retirement planning pitfalls that I see retirees make over and over and over again. You see, what happens is a lot of retirees talk about all the success that they've had entering retirement. What they don't tell you is about the mistakes that they made. I've been a financial planner for over 10 years in this industry, and I'm going to give you the keys to help you avoid these mistakes that are commonly made from retirees. If you enjoy the episode, I would really appreciate it if you would like and share it. In addition, if you find value in this, I would encourage you to book a call with me, and I'd love to help you avoid these mistakes for your retirement plan. Let's get into number 1 here first. The first common mistake that people make is, first off, procrastinating on their retirement savings strategy. You see, what happens is a lot of people put this off thinking that this is some way off in the distance thing that's never going to happen for them. But what I'm here to tell you is that retirement comes up sooner than you think. And if you don't start planning today, you'll find yourself further and further behind. Because there's this thing called compound interest. The sooner you start saving, the more time that your money has to start compounding and growing. Now, I say this as a joke, but a great example of this to look at is Warren Buffett. Now, he was only worth $19 million at the age of 44, which honestly is a lot of money, let's not lie. But if we fast forward to when he was 83, Warren Buffett is worth $58.5 billion at age 83. That is amazing growth, and that's what compound interest can do for you. It's also important to start saving early because it develops good habits for you. These habits will follow you through life. So the sooner you start developing these habits, the sooner you can start saving for your retirement future and letting that compound interest work from you. Now, what if you're having problems doing this right now? Well, how do you overcome that? Well, first off, you have to set goals for yourself. Set a strategy in place, get some goals in place, and it always helps to have an accountability partner sitting right beside you, holding you accountable to what you said you're going to do. Let's move on to number 2. A common mistake that a lot of people make as well is underestimating their retirement expenses. And what am I talking about here? Well, there's some expenses that a lot of people don't think about when they consider their retirement. The first one is healthcare cost. Now, this healthcare expense isn't just your Medicare premiums and maybe your health insurance premiums. There's things above and beyond that you're going to be having healthcare for in retirement. Maybe it's fuel, maybe it's prescriptions, maybe it's that travel time, hotel stays. There is a lot of healthcare cost that you need to plan for in retirement. It's not just something that's going to be $100 a month. So you need to have inside of your retirement plan a set aside amount each and every month for you to allow for healthcare cost. Number 2, inflation. Now, we should all be top of mind on this thing right now with inflation, because if we look at the cost of things from 2019 till today, everything in your life has gone up in price. I don't care what you're looking at. Inflation has been a real issue for a lot of consumers and retirees over the last 4 years. And if you don't plan on your income growing slowly over retirement time, say 3-5%, you may not like where your income situation looks 10 years into retirement. Number 3, lifestyle considerations and unexpected expenses that pop up. Maybe you're having to help with kids' medical expenses. Maybe there's a grandchild that you have to help with. You haven't accounted for taxes increasing. Maybe your cost of living goes up. Health insurance costs goes up. You have to account for lifestyle and unexpected expenses that could pop up in your retirement as well. Number 3, this is a common one that I see a lot. People ignore asset allocation in retirement. What does that mean? That means how aggressive or how conservative are you with your investment strategy? Let's just say that you retired in 2020 or 2023 or 2022. Depending on where the market is each and every year, it might be a horrible time to retire or it might be a really good time to retire. You see, what I'm talking about here is if you have all of your money invested in stocks and the stock market goes down by 30% and you decide to retire, that is the worst possible time to retire. So asset allocation, how aggressive are you? How conservative are you? Well, in our firm, I've talked about it before, but we use a bucketing approach. Some of your assets are conservative, some of your assets are aggressive. Depending on where the market is and when you retire, we make a game time decision on where we're pulling money from, depending on where everything is sitting at. You need to align your asset allocation with your goals, your risk tolerance, and your timeline. And you need to reallocate these depending on how the market shifts year over year and depending on how your retirement timeline shifts as well. So don't ignore asset allocation in retirement. Number 4, overlooking tax implications at retirement time. The first thing that a lot of people don't understand is that your Social Security benefit, it could be tax-free. It could be taxed at higher levels as well, all the way up to 85%, depending on your income. Now, I've done a previous episode with David McKnight on the power of zero. And if you're interested on how to live a tax-free retirement, I would strongly encourage you to check out that episode. Just know that your income, that affects a lot more than just your taxes on Social Security. It has to affect your Medicare premiums as well, and it will affect your income tax rate as well. So there are strategies that you can implement to get those taxes possibly down to zero if you plan and prepare properly for retirement. Number 5, not having a withdrawal strategy. See, what a lot of people used to do in retirement planning is they would just have all of their money in one portfolio, just a big pool of assets. And then they just withdraw, say, 4, 5, 6% a year, and that's how they went on their financial planning. Well, there's a lot more efficient way to do it. What we find is that a lot of people go through phases in their retirement. They go through the go-go years, which is typically the first 10 years in retirement. And then we go through the slow-go years where maybe your health isn't as good, you're not wanting to be as active, you're just slowing down a little bit. We call those the slow-go years. And then typically that last third of your retirement is the no-go years. You're not doing anything. You're not wanting to leave your house. You're not spending much time or money on traveling and entertainment. And so with those phases in mind, you need to come up with a withdrawal strategy that's sustainable. And then you can also implement that over a meaningful period of years to make sure that you don't run out of money. You see, it's most important to have retirement income tax planning done and a retirement withdrawal strategy done to make sure you're pulling from a tax efficient perspective and also that you're not pulling too much out. You see, you can't pull, generally speaking, you're not going to be able to pull 10% of your retirement accounts out per year. That's a recipe for disaster. What most experts find is that number is around 4, maybe stretching up to 6%, depending on what type of assets that you have, what type of guarantees that you have inside of your portfolio. If you're using annuity contracts, that I've done a great episode with Tom Hegna on that as well. And so if you're interested in retirement withdrawal strategies, I would encourage you to watch that episode with Tom Hegna. Number 6, failing to plan for longevity. You see, a lot of people don't think about living into their 80s and 90s in retirement. So what you need to consider on number 6, failing to plan for your longevity, you need to consider a lifetime income strategy, things like Social Security, pensions, annuities, something that can provide you guaranteed lifetime income, and you also need to plan for long-term care. If you don't have a plan for long-term care in place, it could ruin your retirement plan and also ruin your spouse's retirement plan. So I would encourage you, plan for lifetime income and plan for long-term care. Doing these things will enable you to live a more worry-free, happy retirement. Just get those 2 things in place. Number 7, relying too much on Social Security. Social Security was designed to be part of your retirement income plan, not all of it. You see, there's quite a few people today that just retire on Social Security alone. Doing that could be very, very difficult for you from a financial standpoint. So understand that Social Security is part of your retirement income plan, not the whole thing. Social Security is a program that you've paid into for years and years and years and years. And it's nice to be getting some benefit out of that. So I don't hate when people say they want to turn on their Social Security benefit and claim their benefit to get something back. But we all know that taxes are probably going to go up in the future, and Social Security benefits in some way, shape, or form are going to need to be restructured as well. So having that as your lone income source in retirement is scary. So we always encourage clients to consider diversifying your retirement income streams. I mean, getting more than one income stream in retirement. Maybe that's a pension. Maybe that's Social Security. Maybe that's some annuity programs that you have in place. Maybe it's rental income that you have. But you should have more than one guaranteed income source in retirement. So that was Social Security. Don't plan to live on that alone. Number 8, I'm going to hit on it again because it's extremely important. Inflation. Your dollars are not going to be worth as much as time goes on. That's what inflation does. It causes the cost of everything to go up over time. Food, groceries, vehicles, everything's going to cost more as time goes on. And if you don't plan for inflation inside of your retirement plan, you might not like how things are looking in 10, 15, or 20 years. So how can you protect against inflation? What can you do to protect your retirement income strategy from inflation? Well, you can do things that have cost of living adjustments on them. That's things that go up in value over time, and it's guaranteed. You can have a cost of living adjustment. It's a rider that you can tack onto an annuity contract. In addition, Social Security does increase with inflation year over year over year as well. So that's built into it. Maybe you have other strategies that you're implementing that plan to increase your guaranteed income over time. Just don't sleep on inflation. Include that in part of your financial plan when you're planning for your eventual retirement. Number 9, this is a big one. Failing to seek professional advice. You see, these things that I'm talking about today are common to people that work in the industry. But if you're trying to do this alone, trying to figure out your retirement plan, what mistakes do I try to avoid? People aren't going to tell you about the mistakes that they made. That's just the way people are. They're going to tell you about all the success that they had, not about the losses that they have. So working with advisors, someone like me here at Mutual of Omaha, or another CFP that you may have in your life, they'll be able to tell you, hey, do this, don't do that. We've seen this mistake made, do this instead. Plan for inflation, plan for long-term care, plan to be living a long time. You need to plan how to pay for your healthcare costs as well in retirement. These things are all common for CFPs to give you advice on to help you avoid mistakes. And these mistakes could be extremely costly if you're retiring into a down market and you're turning on your withdrawal strategy. And understanding taxes and Medicare and withdrawal strategies, these are all extremely complex things. Now, working with an advisor, they'll be able to walk hand in hand with you, giving you advice that's tailor-fit to you in your individual situation. So let's recap everything that we've talked about today before I leave you guys. We've talked about procrastination. Just get going. In order to start saving, you need to start saving in the first place. And then we talked about understanding retirement expenses. You need to plan for healthcare costs. Ignoring asset allocation was number 3. You need to have a diversified portfolio. Number 4 was tax implications. You need to understand how taxes work on you in your retirement. Number 5, not having a withdrawal strategy. Don't plan to just take 10% of your money every year from a portfolio that's all in one. Have a strategy for your distributions. Number 6, don't forget to plan for your longevity. You may live a lot longer than you think, so plan on lifetime income and don't sleep on long-term care benefits as well. Number 7, Social Security should not be your one and only withdrawal strategy. Number 8, do not forget inflation. The cost of goods go up over time. And number 9, work with a professional who has your best interest in mind. I work with a ton of great advisors here at Mutual of Omaha, and if you'd like me to connect with one that's local to you, or if you'd like to work online with me, I'd love to have a conversation with you. My website link is below where you can schedule a time to chat with me over the phone or online, and I'd love to help you avoid these costly mistakes that could cost you a lot of money in retirement time. I look forward to seeing you next time here on the Money Mastery Unleashed podcast. Thanks for listening. This podcast is for educational purposes only and may include references to concepts that have legal and or tax implications. It's not to be construed as legal or tax advice. Such information or opinions is subject to change without notice and is not intended to use as an offer or solicitation with respect to the purchase or sale of any security, insurance products, or offer of individual investment advice. Any strategies discussed may not be suitable for everyone. Mutual of Omaha Investor Services, Inc. does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your appropriate professional regarding your personal situation prior to making any financial decisions. Securities and advisory services offered through Mutual of Omaha Investor Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Riser Insurance is not affiliated with Mutual of Omaha Investor Services. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Diversification does not guarantee a profit or protection lost against loss in a declining market. Purchase of life insurance is subject to meeting underwriting requirements. There is no guarantee of an individual will be insured. Annuities are long-term investments designed for retirement purposes. Withdrawals of taxable amounts are subject to income tax, and if taken prior to 59.5, a 10% federal penalty tax may apply. Guarantees are backed by the claims paying ability of the issuer and are subject to their terms and conditions.